Hi there, it's me. You're totally not awkwardly posed or weird quilt shop owner with another lesson today. Hey, we're gonna square up a quilt. I got some stuff done. This is a quilted wall hanging, and lots of people are asking, how do we square up a quilt? After it's quilted, you have to make it square, and this doesn't mean make it like in the shape of a square, because people have said, but my quilt is a rectangle. I get it. We're going to make the corner square so that the quilt is, not a parallelogram. We're going to make the corners at right angles. That's what it means to square up your quilt. Not like literally make it square, but make it so it's not wonky. Because all of this stuff does pull your quilt out of shape. And you can just do a straight line down here, but it might not be even. But here's what I do. You can do a lot of math. We're not going to do math today. It's Monday. Nobody's got time for math. It's just another Mathic Monday. So you've got my over-the-shoulder view. You're welcome. I know I'm left-handed. Just, I don't know, put your thing down, flip it, and reverse it. So what I like to do first is I get a corner. It doesn't matter which corner. And I have a big ruler. This is a nice 16-inch. If you don't have a 16-inch, it's fine. But I just pick a corner and I try to line up, both angles here. So it looks relatively straight, and I get it a little past my stitching. Here we go. Okay, back again. So we're going to cut this corner. I'm going to take our square ruler. We're going to make a nice even square here. We're going to line it up so it looks nice and straight. And we're just going to cut this square. Cut this right through there. And right across there. So I just leave these hanging while I'm going. This is a smaller piece. Practice rotary blade safety here. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just go to the next corner and do that. It's a really small piece. It'll line up, but we don't have to worry about this yet. This particular design I'm doing too, the instruction said it doesn't matter if you wind up cutting off some of these butterfly elements, because the designer wanted them to like run off the edge of the quilt. Right. So this same method would apply if you were doing this on like a longer bed size quilt. So you've got your two corners nice and square. They're going to be relatively level and straight. Sometimes you can move the quilt, sometimes you'll have to move you. And then I take my longer ruler and I just line up from one line to the other. If it's wobbly, like just do your best to just make sure it's nice and straight. Sometimes you'll trim off a bit more from what you've trimmed before, but ta-da! So this edge is nice and straight and the corners are nice and square. And we're just going to keep going. We are going to keep going. I think what I want to do is both of these corners, and then I will line them up again. Oh, and this one's going to be nice and crooked, so we're going to have to do some adjustments. So like I tell my students, just start a bit, and if you have to adjust as you go, that's perfectly fine, because they are not all going to work out the same. That's just stuff we're going to put in the scrap bin, so that doesn't matter. And if you don't have a nice big space like this to do your quilt, if you're going to do a full-size quilt, I would highly encourage you to make friends with your local quilt shop. They may have classroom space for you to use, or maybe they'll do these things called sew days where you can use their space and equipment. Or if you are part of a guild and you've joined a guild, they have work days where you can go for the day and work on whatever you want. And that would include stuff like this, squaring up your quilt, because they have lots of space usually for you to work on these sorts of things. Now see, that looked like it was going to be crooked, but now it's not, and we're making it nice and square here. Ta-da! I'm just throwing them out. Ugh, forgetting where I'm going. I have done this on the floor as well. You just put your cutting mat down, and if I have big enough floor space, rather than move the quilt, I will move the cutting mat. So yeah, this is going to be it's a little bowed in there, but you know what? We're going to hide it in the binding. Whee! So it did get a little like this. If I did want to be a little pickier about this, I might sort of line this up. Yeah, let's do that. We're not taking off a ton here, but we are doing a bit. It's still going to be square here. I'm going to use this edge to square up with the line we already cut, because we know that's nice and straight, and then line it up here. And as we don't cut in through here, that's just going to make it nice and straight for us. Ta-da! It's not a lot, but sometimes makes a huge difference. I'm going to throw that one out of the way. And we get down to our final piece here. I gotta go through here and pick off all the threads on the top too. The same sort of thing, just line up them two corners on my long roller and everything in between it's a nice straight line, because that's how physics works. Ta-da! Nice. So we have this nice, beautiful quilt for the wall. Look at that. All trimmed, ready for me to bind. That's how you square up a quilt.